Today on the Nasty Gasty News Network, we have former head of Tammany Hall and now convicted felon William Marcy Tweed, better known as Boss Tweed. After being convicted of forgery and larceny, he is here to give us an inside look at the Tweed ring.
Hello, I'm here with Boss Tweed today. So, Tweed, can you explain to us what exactly the Tweed ring was?
Well, the Tweed ring is made up of a lot of different companies. Whenever something in New York City needed fixed, or like a toilet, to say, I would send my handyman down there to do a really bad job for a really high price, and he would gain off of it a little bit. However, I would gain a large profit off of it. And since we didn't do a very good job, next week I had to send somebody back.
So what you're saying is, you have most certainly used these followers to gain a large profit in a less than legal way.
Maybe.
Would you say you've been very successful in this method?
Yes, for a while, yes.
How much money do you think you've made off of this?
Somewhere around 100 million, maybe. A little bit over.
So, you were so successful in this. What led to your downfall? Can you explain to us what led to you being caught?
Just a little magazine, newspaper thing called the New York Times. You
Yeah.
may have heard of it.
I mean, it's pretty little, but yeah.
Some investigative writers started popping up here and there and trying to find some information on why our profit had increased in such a short amount of time to such a high number. And we found some things most people weren't too happy about.
So, you've been sentenced, as we said. What is your sentence? Do you have jail time?
I've been sentenced to 12 years in federal prison.
Well, best of luck in prison life. Please don't drop the soap, and we enjoyed having you.
Thank you, Grant. Our next guest is Congressman Ames Oaks, recently censured due to the credit mobilier fraud. Here's Grant with the story.
How you doing?
Doing all right. How are you?
I'm alright. Sorry I'm a little late. I had to walk.
It's fine. Can I offer you some dip?
Oh, sure.
So, how did you get involved in this fraud? Is there something funny?
One of your employees back there was saying some funny stuff. Back to the question. In 1964, President Lincoln approached me with the proposition to be involved in the building of the Continental Railroad, Transcontinental Railroad.
I see. So, for our viewers' sake,
Could you briefly explain to me the whole fraud and how it worked?
okay, well, yeah. So, I can't talk with this mustache.
Maybe you should consider shaving sometime soon.
Oh,
There's no
second.
shave November here in a couple days.
Oh, yeah, I see. Okay, so I set up this loan company called Credit Mobilier. By the way, do you have any chips?
Oh! I completely forgot.
Thank you. My appetite just got worked up. So I started this loan company called Credit Mobilier, and what it was is it provided money to the Union Pacific Railroad so that they could construct the Transcontinental Railroad. Now, when Union Pacific Railroad would pay back these loans to Credit Mobilier, I'm just going to call it CM, make it simpler.
For the viewers, yes.
Yeah. When Union Pacific Railroad would pay back these loans, CM would take this money and invest it back into the Union Pacific Railroad via stocks and bonds. So no money was ever lost because the same shareholders, the same major shareholders, the people who owned the Union Pacific Railroad also owned CM. So the money stayed between the same core people. No money was ever lost.
Mm-hmm.
So now Union Pacific Railroad has all these bonds and stocks, and so they keep getting bigger and bigger, making more and more money off of it. And then what they would do is they'd sell these stocks and bonds to the open public, and they would make huge profits on it.
Oh, okay. So, how was Congress involved?
You see, what I would do is I would distribute the stocks of Union Pacific Railroad and CM to other congressmen as bribes.
And that would be it for today's interview. Back to Sophia. But wait, Mr. Ames, how did you get caught?
Mr. Ames denied further interviewing, but for our viewers, I'll briefly describe how he was caught. The Sun, a New York paper, broke out with the story of the fraud in 1872. We'll be back with our next guest right after the break.
This just in, the United States of America now has a new president and the former governor of Ohio, William McKinley. He recently defeated William Jennings Bryan in a landslide of a victory. Their presidential campaigning tactics were very different. William Jennings Bryan would go on whistle tours, making 20 to 30 speeches a day trying to get the rural vote, while McKinley had many rich businessmen backing him who would go and do the political campaigning for him and gave him unheard of donations that some report to be up to $10 million. This represents for America a time when the industrial population has finally beat out the urban population for an election. In summary, this is the first time in American history when a president has gone with the industrial population and won over the rural population. This represents a new time for American history.
Next on our show is farmer Lee J. Thompson, representing the Populist Party.
So, Lee J, what exactly inspired the growth of the Populist Party?
Well, originally it was a bunch of buddies and I talking about how we felt our government had neglected us and treated us poorly due to the drop in crop prices, and nobody had responded well to that. So we kind of got together and started making our own little party. And then we discovered industrial workers, engineers, and all them. They had felt kind of the same way and shared the same ideas about the whole situation. So we threw together a party kind of quick, and we worked on it from there.
So what exactly do you stand for then?
Well, we stood for equal rights, so we asked for different rights.
Wait, what?
Well, we felt since the rich were rich and the poor were poor, that they should have to pay more taxes. Because they don't work as hard, but they get 10 times the money.
Okay.
Now, I work hard with my donkeys every day, and I only make a nickel a day. And the tax, that comes out to 3 cents a day.
Okay. So, how well do you think your party can compete against the larger parties?
I think we did well to begin with. Once we got our voice out there and we got some power,
Mm-hmm.
but then some of the other parties, Democrats, started making some less than polite threats, you could say.
Okay. So, what is this that I heard about this free silver?
Well, pretty much we want to replace the gold standard with the silver standard. There's a lot of silver out there today, and it's flooded the market recently from what I hear in the newspapers. And our party would like to replace the gold standard and use that as a way to compensate for our money that we've lost.
Okay, I understand. So, what happened that just caused the downfall of this populist party?
Some internal corruption first off, and the threats from the Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
We had a lot of members feel uncomfortable and insecure about those threats, so they kind of backed off, and we lost a lot of power.
I understand. Thank you for coming in. And back to Soph.
Thank you, Grant. That is all for today on the Nasty Gasty News Network. As you can see, the Gilded Age was a time of great political corruption, which we brought to light today. We'll see you next time on the Nasty Gasty News Network.
whenever New York City. New York City.
Right?
Sorry, I'm laying out. Mr. President Lincoln.
Yeah, what about Mr. President Lincoln?
I'm backing out. Let's do it. I'm just gonna...
Mr. Ames, what are you doing? Please, Mr. Ames, please tell me about this fraud in President Lincoln.